Hello, everyone. Welcome to the official ScaleupStream Podcast. I'm your host, Hugh Seth. Joining us today is Nick Larson, General Partner at Driven Capital Fund. Nick, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Hugh. It's wonderful to be here.
Oh yeah. This is going to be a fun one. So let's dive into it then, Nick. My first question for you is if you could just walk us through your story and how did you become a VC?
Yeah, a great question. So I'm a Silicon Valley native. So I grew up with technology. In fact, my brother and I have been on computers since we could walk. My mom worked at Apple for 30 years. So I got to meet Steve Jobs when I was 12 and had a various number of failed startups and a couple successful ones. Had a chance to raise from some VCs, raised from Google, my last venture. And as an operator and head of revenue of several companies getting us to our first million, I've learned how to hire teams and implement technology and put process in place to scale technology companies. So you've got your operator VCs, and then you've got your finance VCs, and I definitely fall within the first bucket, which I think helps with credibility.
Okay. Now, I know that Driven Capital Fund emphasizes on AI, machine learning, breakthrough algorithms, devices, and innovative teams. I want you to just go into a little bit more details on that with us about, let's say, a little bit more specifics as to what exactly it is that the team at Driven Capital looks for in founders and opportunities that you think is worth investing in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we like to be first check-in, and also, like the 3 T's, right? Team, trust, timing, and also technology and traction. So I guess 5 T's. And the neat thing about if we get early, like super early stage, then we can help the companies out in a pretty impactful way. There's a company we're looking at that's essentially the Uber of haircuts, and so they'll have a stylist come to your house, and they're taking 30% of every transaction.
Okay.
They've got some pretty good early traction rather, and one of my mentors owns a series of nursing homes, so we could take them from 100 haircuts a month to 10,000 haircuts a month. That's kind of like reverse engineer the revenue growth.
Right.
So that's like one example of the stage and kind of company that we like to work with.
Okay. Now, what you just said actually is going to segue perfectly into my next question, which comes to, the fact that you're already mapping out the success of this company, right? You just mentioned the assisted livings and what have you, and how that's going to help with sales and all those good things. Mm-hmm. Now, my question for you then is, what makes your fund different from other funds out there in your industry? We're already seeing how you're active and helping out, right? Which is a good sign for founders. But what else? What other elements are part of that really differentiates you from the rest?
Well, 2 things. I would say one is the credibility of having scaled companies myself. Okay. And by the way, that helps with quality deal flow, which is half the battle of being an investor.
Yes.
And then the other thing is we built a piece of technology to streamline the process. So when a founder wants to raise capital from us, because we're a $100 million early stage fund, drivencapitalfund.com, right? We have them go to our website, and then there's a green button they can click, and it takes like maybe 5 minutes or so to upload your pitch deck. How did you find us? Who's on your team? And that stores it in a secure cloud that my partner Bill Eichen and I can review the deal and also share the deal. We've got about 100 VCs in the platform that, if we're not a right fit for the company, we can still be valuable and put them in touch with another investor.
Okay. Wow, that's really good. So efficiency when it comes to really for a founder to approach and be able to get seen by VC you make the process very simple, right? And that's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. And Bill, Bill's an MIT math guy, so he wrote the algorithms. So each company scored, and there's a background check, and
Right.
yeah, it's pretty neat. At first, when I saw it, I was like, well, hey, if an investor doesn't want to take time with me and I have to fill out this form, I'm not interested, right? Because I put my blood, sweat, and tears in this thing.
Right.
But then I put my investor hat on. I realized, we're getting 3 to 5, sometimes 10 inbound opportunities a day.
Right.
You gotta productize it and systematize it to be more efficient.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I definitely noticed the efficiency there when you mentioned it first. So now, well, let's dive into Nick a little bit. What is it? What were some big mistakes or issues you came across on your journey to venture capital? I mean, exiting businesses cannot be an easy thing to do, and I know it's not. So I want you to run us through some scenarios.
Ooh, yikes! Well, I've stumbled a lot. I've
Yeah.
lost investor money. I even had a co-founder that was stealing from the business before.
Right.
So I've struggled with product market fit.
Right.
Not having a solid tech team. So the product sucks. There's been a bunch of failures along the way, but I've also been very fortunate and very blessed to have some wonderful mentors.
Okay.
Help me too. So having and getting introductions to early stage businesses as customers, or just having somebody put the map out and be like, hey, I've made these mistakes before, try this out. And that's what we like to give to our portfolio companies as well.
Right. There's this consistency when I speak with those who are successful, and the consistency that I hear is like mentorship. I have mentors. I have those who really aided and helped the process to my success. And I know that's something that stands out to you. And I mean, not only segueing from what you just said, but you also believe that your success is not just from you, but it's a collective of the mentors that you've had and all the positivity that has been put upon your life. So let's dive into this mentorship thing. Why is that so important? Why should entrepreneurs really seek mentors, especially when it comes to the process of raising capital?
Well, one would be the obvious, right? Access to their network, and they're willing to go out on a limb for you and make some introductions. But just as important is like the access to information. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean content. It could just be how to conduct yourself. For example, Mark Detargiani, who's a senior vice president at Pacific West Bank, he's been invaluable to me over my career, and half of it's just seeing how he interacts with people, either that he's introduced me to or that I've introduced him to. And a lot of communication is nonverbal, and people want to be heard, right? Speak so others want to hear, and listen so others want to speak. And a lot of that's just stuff that comes with time, for sure.
Okay.
Likewise, there's another fellow named Jeff Marinelli, who's the founder of Art and Living magazine, and he also has like a very joyful approach to life.
Right.
He's also been very fortunate too. His wife is wonderful, and she's taken several companies public, and she mostly in the beverage space. They're titans in the beverage space. So yeah, learned a lot from them. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. When you're talking about multiple companies public, that's legendary.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It's brilliant. Yeah. Wow. Brilliant. Yeah.
Wow. So that's a blessing right there. Now, it's only right to ask, well, being a VC must be a scary process, yes or no? And what will be your biggest fear when it comes to when it comes to being a VC? Like, are you ever afraid, okay, I'm about to put all of these LPs money into this or into these various companies, and I'm not sure if this business right here, yeah, I believe it's going to do well, but is it really, like, is that a scary process? Because we know the success rate isn't that high. So what's your mindset on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, the success rate on average is not very high because a lot of VCs don't do it correctly.
Okay.
It's not a lens of fear for me, but more a lens of opportunity because I have a chance to have an impact.
Right.
Just given the fact that you start to see patterns in not only verticals but people and teams as well.
Right.
And so if you can have a meaningful impact, or have you ever heard of the term locus of control, like having a high or low locus of control?
No, I've never heard that.
It's a term that I remember from college in
Okay.
in a class about entrepreneurism. That is the expected impact on a scenario once you get involved.
Okay.
And entrepreneurs always have a high locus of control.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not a lens of fear, but it's a lens of, hey, let's tackle this thing, let's do it together, you know.
Okay. Okay. So what advice then would you give somebody who wants to raise a fund?
Have something that you can point to.
Okay.
My partner Bill Eichen, Mr. HDMI, right? He sold that for $1 billion when he was at Analogics. He recently was in Forbes, quoted, having been quoted, that, you know, so many folks try to go straight into VC before having built something, product, service, and something that will give you credibility with the other founders. Mm-hmm. So build something before you go into that space. And the other thing, and this is not just for VCs, but for entrepreneurs of all different shapes and sizes, be organized. About 6 years ago, I started a document that is essentially my CRM. And when I meet somebody that I like and that I trust, I'll add them under the specific space. And now it's about 15, 20 pages long. And when somebody asks me for an introduction, be it an attorney or an accountant or an investor or somebody who's looking to hire, I can be valuable to them, and I don't have to keep it all up here. So just be organized and keep lists.
Right. Okay. Now that's good. And this organization thing is very important, and I think it's easily overlooked. I mean, you're meeting how many new people weekly, actually, or at least on a monthly basis? How many pitches are you listening to or reading? Could you run us through that?
Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe I'm on probably like 1 to 2 panels a week. You know, we get probably between 3 and 10 inbounds a day. Mm-hmm. Hundreds of people each month.
Monthly. Wow. Yeah. That you're reading and listening to, or?
Yeah, because I mean, we've got, so Gary and Max who are running ScaleupStream. By the way, if any of your listeners haven't checked out ScaleupStream, I strongly recommend checking them out.
Yeah.
We also have a weekly clubhouse at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard called Millennial Nick and Downtown Bill. And it's sponsored by Silicon Valley Startups, or sbsclub.com.
Right.
We get killer inbound from there. So we're constantly getting pitched, which is one of the reasons we built that product, VC Deal Share, to streamline that process. So.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely have to place the link for that clubhouse also, so that our viewers can check that out. Now, I'm so glad that you brought up SkillUpStream, because that was a question I was going to ask.
Nice, man. It's like we've got ESPN or something.
Yeah, that's what's going on right now. Now, before I do ask that, there's a question that I wanted to ask before. If you were to break down, mention two criterias that is very pivotal before entry into the venture capital space, what would be those criteria that should be on a resume for somebody that is a VC?
Okay. Your track record
Okay.
and a solid network, because access to quality deal flows, again, that's half the battle.
Track record and network. So that
Yeah.
means you've done successful exits, and you've done multiple of those. Now, is just one enough, or do you need two? Like, what? How much is enough?
The more the better, right? I mean, but I mean, like, let's say for example, we had Hugh Seth Capital, right?
Yeah.
And you run $100 million fund. You've got entrepreneurs daily that are asking you, say, Hugh, this thing's going to be worth $1 billion. I want you to invest. If it is $1 billion idea, they've got different options. You know, the market's saturated with capital right now.
Right.
So one of the ways that you can be valuable and convince them that you're the right partner to go with, you can say, hey, look, I've built ABC. I'm going to help you out with XYZ.
Right.
Let's do this together. It's smart money. It's not just
I'm
cash.
going to connect you with all these assisted livings. We're going to get the sales up, and I have this experience and knowledge in this space. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right. The rate of success is pretty low, and the average age of a successful entrepreneur is 45. Even though the media tends to kind of glamorize the college knockouts, right?
Yeah, that makes for a good story, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now back to the question I wanted to ask you about SkillUpStream. What has been your experience with SkillUpStream thus far, and what recommendations would you have for those who are interested or would be in need of such a platform?
My experience so far is it's been very quality. It's so you've got like the Monday night events,
Yeah.
which is really just like you throw everybody in the room and see what happens. It's a little bit more gentle, right?
Yeah.
And then Tuesdays, once you pass the muster and Gary gives you the green light, then all of a sudden you can come back into a more focused, refined environment where you're pitching one-on-one to a number of different investors.
Right.
So they both have their benefits. You know, I like the idea of creating a community of folks and giving them valuable feedback, because you know it's tough. It's tough to be a founder. Everything's against you. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But as you mentioned, it's been glamorized. So now it's like this entrepreneur thing is almost like having a 9-to-5 in a sense. It's just this glimmer.
Mhm.
Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, but there's more to it than that. There's a certain characteristic, a certain mindset and mentality that warrants entrepreneurship. But when things get glamorized like that, everyone wants to get a piece of that pie, right?
That's true. That's the new American dream, right? Sell the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah, Okay, well, Nick, I know you're really busy. So if you have any finishing remarks, anything that you could leave our audience with, startups, what advice would you give to startups in the process of raising seed, or maybe even exiting? What advice do you have for entrepreneurs across the board?
Get a deep domain expertise in a specific space and solve a unique challenge better than anybody else, right? And hopefully using technology, maybe at the borderline between human intelligence and artificial intelligence, kind of bridging the gap between those. And far too often, I come across companies that say, "Oh, we could do anything for anybody," and that really waters down their message. But if you focus on a specific space and for a specific target market, you crush that better than anyone else, you'll have success and you'll be able to grow organically from there.
Well, wisdom from the man himself. Nick, it's been an honor and a pleasure having you on the official ScaleupStream podcast. Looking forward to having more conversations with you.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Hugh, for the time. It's great to chat.